Hi.
So welcome, good afternoon and a very warm welcome to EduWeave Online Education Expo. Just a quick introduction, this is the third expo that we are conducting as part of the Bengaluru Schools Education Initiatives, BSEI. We are an offshoot of the largest online parenting community, which is called Bangalore Schools, which was formed around 9 years back. So here we try to connect with connect the five pillars of education together. These are the educational institutions, parents, educators, students, and service providers. And one of the things that we do always is to ensure that we have quite a lot of discussions that happen around the topic of education, parenting, and those kind of things. So this is one of the very interesting topics that we have for this year's expo, where we are going to discuss the impact of music, sports and dance in education. So let me hand it over to our student volunteer, Anantita, who will start with the introduction of the moderator, and then we will take it from there. Over to you, Anantita.
Thank you. Neha Mathur is the first entrepreneur from a family of lawyers and salaried professionals. She started her entrepreneurial journey as a product photographer and then switched gears. She followed her passion and founded The Missing Piece. As an image consultant, she helps people discover their personal brand by being their true inner self. Neha has a keen sense of style and is a trained Kathak dancer and a product photographer. She's very passionate about fitness and is an avid CrossFitter. She recently completed the Oxfam Trail Walker, a 100 kilometers walk with her teammates. Welcome, Neha.
Thank you so much, Anantita, for that lovely introduction. And let's get started right away. I would like to first introduce the panelists that we have here today. Let me start with Bindu. Right. So Bindu Subramaniam is a singer, songwriter, entrepreneur, author, and music educator. Bindu has been described as a third generation prodigy. Bindu first performed on stage in Norway when she was just 12 years old with the Oslo Philharmonic Orchestra and global soloist for a composition called Astral Symphony, written by her father, Dr. L. Subramaniam. Bindu heads Subramaniam Academy of Performing Arts. She has a master's degree in law from the University of London, a master's certificate in songwriting and music business from Berkeley Music, a diploma in Montessori education, and a PhD in music education. Wow, that's quite a distinguished introduction there. Welcome to the panel, Bindu.
Thank you so much for having me, Neha. I have too many degrees because I'm scared to do actual work.
Nice. All right, so let me introduce our next panelist here, Saurav. Saurav Ghoshal is an Asian Games gold medalist in squash and Arjuna Award winner, the first squash player from the country to get the award. He is ranked #1 in India and #10 in the world. He was the first ever Indian to win the British Junior Open title. He also is the first Indian to reach the quarterfinals of the World Squash Championship. Welcome to the panel, Saurav. Thank you for giving us your time.
No, thanks a lot for having me. I don't think my resume kind of matches up to Bindu's in terms of the degrees, but hopefully I'll get there one day.
It's okay. I don't think we're having any comparisons here. I mean, each one of you is accomplished in your own fields, and there's so much to learn and look up to from you guys. So let's get started. While our third panelist joins, we can just start the discussion. Let's not keep our audience waiting here. So Saurav, let me ask you this question. Let's start first with you. Generally, right, for us Indians, music, dance, sports, this is always considered as an extracurricular activity, right? It's not really a mainstream, something that, kids are encouraged to do. So what do you think? Should these be a part of the regular education, or should they be kept separate?
I think to begin with, I think you've hit the nail on its head. I think considering our mentality as a country in the past, we've always considered these streams, so to say, as something that we supplement our education with. I think what we kind of need to understand is that music, dance, sport, all these other kind of activities actually make you a better person, and they make you a more learned person. Like some of the best education that I've had in my life has come from traveling from different traveling through different cultures and meeting different people, and that education cannot be substituted for what I've learned in school or in college before. Also, like today I'm sitting here doing this panel discussion. It's not because of what I did in my class 10 or class 12 boards or what I studied in college. It's because of what I did on a squash court. And I think that's in itself is testament to the fact that I think it's important to give children the opportunity and the platform to discover what they are really good at. And you need to give an equal opportunity for that to take place. And once we do give the next generations that opportunity, we will surely find that we have so much talent within that generation that we can go a long way in making India a massive country on the world stage. And I think that's what we need to kind of look at and see that there are so many different opportunities for people to pursue if given the right platform and the right opportunity to pursue it.
Lovely. Yeah, I think I do resonate with that, show the opportunities, let the kids see what is out there and let them make the choice and whatever they're interested in, and then encourage them. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our third panelist also joining us, Dr. Rekha. Let me just introduce her real quick for everyone here. So Rekha Raju has a PhD in Mohiniyattam. She is also a chartered accountant and has an MBA degree, an A-graded artist at the Doordarshan and an empaneled artist of the ICCR. Rekha has traveled across the world to spread Mohiniyattam. She is the artistic director of her academy, Nritya Dhama Temple of Fine Arts, where she trains more than 400 students in Mohiniyattam, Bharatnatyam, Mridangam, yoga, and Carnatic vocals. She has given more than 50 lecture demonstrations at universities all over the world. Wow, welcome to the panel, Dr. Rekha.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for those words, and I look forward for this wonderful discussion, which is, where there's so much of embodiment of co-curricular activities, as people call.
Yes, that's what we just started the discussion with. So, Bindu, let me ask the next question to you. Right? Again, education equals exams, academics. It's as simple as that. So what should the students who are really proficient at, say, music or dance or sports, what should they really focus on? What should their priority be?
So I think there are a couple of things there. One, this idea of education being exams is something that I know all of us are against in some sense, because it seems unfair at this point, to say the least. But what I do think is important is for us to be able to benchmark ourselves. So whatever it is that you are passionate about or that you're doing, you need to make sure that you're getting better. So it doesn't have to be exams, but whether it's sport or art, I think the only danger that happens when you're looking at non-traditional career paths is that if you're not benchmarking yourself, it sort of becomes an excuse not to move forward, right? And obviously, it's not the same in a competitive sport, because you're out there every day and you're making sure somebody's making sure that you're doing your best. But I think that's what it is. I don't think exams are important, but I do think that you need to have this sort of sense of non-competitive excellence, or this feeling that you are motivated enough to make yourself better every day. And you need to take a career or steps towards arts and sports, if you're passionate about them, as seriously as you would, say, a career in mathematics or, rocket science.
Yeah. I like the term that you used, non-traditional career path. Yes, because these are not what has been conditioned into our system. But yes, things are changing, things are opening up, and in fact, parents, of today are more and more open to exploring these career paths for their kids and supporting them. So the next question, Dr. Rekha, then I would like to ask you is, how involved do the parents really need to be, because to support their child, to make sure that, the child is able to find what their true passion is, and then, so how should a parent go about it?
Firstly, they say that the home is the first school and the parents are the first teachers. So the education or the knowledge that the parent gives at home is very, very important to every child. So I think, like, I would say that, for example, if I would consider like dance or music or even sport, I think they should be more exposed to all these things at home. Like maybe, you know, when you're watching, whether you're watching TV or whether you're listening to music or whether you're watching a sport, I think that itself comes from as a child. And then later, when the child actually looks at all this and then sees the realistic values of it, so the child can kind of analyze what best suits her or him or what is her liking. And I think they can put that forward to the parent. So first of all, it's a parent's responsibility to get this into the heart of the child. And then later, when the child expresses her or his opinion towards it, not to kind of, discourage them or demotivate them, and then promote that. So maybe they can, first of all, like, you know, try, for example, I'm just saying that there are kids who look at maybe a TV show or something that is, maybe a cricket or squash or tennis, and they say, okay, I want to join those classes. Initially, maybe, you know, it is just that kind of the glamour that it has maybe interests the child. But then later, when the child actually knows the hardships of it or the amount of hard work that needs to put in, then the child can decide if he or she is, you know, capable of doing it with the education system that the parent provide. But what happens is, most of all, when the child expresses her interest towards, maybe I will say dance, the first thing the parent says is, first you concentrate on your studies and then you will see if you are actually good at it. But in turn, I would say that, you know, you concentrate on this and this will definitely have an impact on studies. So that is the way the parent has to put forth each and every, opinion of theirs. So I think that is the way they will support, the parent will be supportive.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah, I think, and right from what you've said, right, that it starts at home. We as parents need to expose our kids to all the opportunities, everything that that they possibly can do, and then whatever they show their interest in, then kind of nurture that and encourage them to do that.
Absolutely.
Also from what you said comes my next question, which is about does being I'm going to use your term, Bindu, over and over again. I quite like that. Choosing a non-traditional career path, right? Does this also help the students or the children in other aspects of their life, right? Like you said, it may support them in their academics. What is the impact of something like this that the child can have? So I would like to know a little bit about that. Saurav, would you like to take that?
Yeah, I think for sure. I think it's something which kind of sets you apart from the rest, because, like you said, it's non-traditional. So by the very definition, you're not going to have everyone doing it. So because of that, you're already putting yourself away from the so-called herd that is there, or the rat race that is there to get to a certain point. I mean, I've always had this thing of maybe following something that Bindu would have done probably is I've always wanted to do an MBA, and I never ended up doing it because I just didn't have enough time from my squash and taking time out of my career. But I remember going into places like Wharton and Stanford in America, and I did like a one-day class and things like that, and try to understand how easy or difficult it would be to get in for an MBA course. And the first thing that I told them was, I don't have any work experience. I've never worked in my life because all I've done is play squash, and that's been my profession ever since I've been like 16 or 17 years old. And the first thing that they told me was that, look, most of the people who come here are coming from like the McKinseys and the Goldmans, and that's not what we want anymore. We want people coming from diverse backgrounds. So it obviously helps that you come from India. It helps a great deal that you're doing something which probably no one else in your entire cohort is probably going to be applying for. And that creates something which is special inside that entire cohort. And that's going to like set you apart from everyone else who's probably worked in a McKinsey or a Goldman for the last 5 or 6 years. So I think even if you want to do something moving forward, I think playing a sport at a high level, or doing something in music at a high level, or doing something in dance at a high level, what it shows people is that you can be successful at what you do. You pursue something with a great deal of drive and a relentlessness, which is not common to everyone. And I think that quality is very difficult to find. And I'm sure everyone will agree that, human capital is the most special form of capital in this world. It's very difficult to find high quality human capital. And by showing proof that you have done brilliantly in some field or the other, you are proving that you are a high quality form of human capital. And that can only help you no matter what you want to do, whether it be start a business, whether it be going into something completely different, whether going into higher education, and like I said previously as well, getting a different kind of form of education in terms of meeting new people, having a greater view of the world, and being a lot more rational in times of irrationality that we live in today. I think all that put together makes doing something other than the so-called traditional forms of work, so to say, a great idea to pursue if you think that is where your passion lies, and obviously being realistic about the fact that you can actually get somewhere doing it.
Lovely. Yeah. In fact, I also agree, and I've seen. I mean, I have a few friends, and I have a few friends whose kids are inclined towards these non-traditional career paths. The amount of dedication and the amount of effort that goes in, be it practice, be it in case they're in sports, maintaining their physical fitness. It's not as easy as it looks. It's, of course, there's the glamour aspect of it, but then there is a lot that goes behind the scene that most of the people do not even know or get to know about. So I think that human capital, what you guys bring to the table is very different from what somebody who's purely academically driven will bring to the table. So everyone brings in their own energies and their own strengths when things like this. So now that we know that, right, we know that there is commitment required, we know that there is a drive that the child needs to have to pursue something like this. There is also the academic part. I mean, of course, we cannot completely ignore that. So how does a child balance that? How can the parents support the children on this particular aspect? That, of course, maintaining that balance is important, right? So what is your suggestion on how do we maintain that balance? How do we really go about it? Bindu, would you like to take that?
Sure. Before that, I'd just like to say, I really like this idea of relentlessness. I think Saurav articulated that really well. And I think this relentlessness and in some sense, a restlessness of always wanting to get better is a skill that every child needs and every adult needs, right? It doesn't matter what you're doing in terms of your career. It doesn't matter what you're getting out of bed to do every morning, but you need to kind of be restless and relentless and kind of want to keep pushing things forward. And furthermore, I think that when you're looking at non-traditional career paths, everything in some sense can be a non-traditional career path, right? We don't know what jobs are going to exist 5 or 10 years from now. Whether we want to acknowledge that they're good careers or bad careers, 10 years ago, nobody thought being an influencer would be a thing, right? Or 25 years ago, you didn't think that being somebody who coded Instagram would be a thing. We're looking at intersections of science and music. We're looking at intersections of, so many different subject areas and super specialization. So I think this idea of academic preparation for a career path is outmoded because we don't know what the careers are going to be. So what we really need to focus on is building skill sets, complementary skill sets, unique skill sets, things that will make you shine. So all of us here have built skill sets around things that we are passionate about and things that we are good at. So when you're looking at kids in school, I think it's really important to sort of dismantle this idea of how do I balance academia with whatever else it is that I want to do, or how do I create this right balance? Because it's not, there is no such thing as uniform or universal balance that everybody should have, right? We need to find our own balances. There are many things that we need to do, but as human beings, I think we are innately capable of doing multiple things, right? So I don't think it's too much of an ask to say that whether you want to be a musician or a sports person or a mathematician, you should learn a little bit of everything. Now, math doesn't like me at all. I'll be really honest, okay? But I still had to have this love-hate relationship with mathematics for many years. So when you look at the justifications that sort of come from the other side about why math is important, I have never used the Pythagoras theorem in my life. And what I learned in grade 9 or 10 math has not helped me file my taxes. It's not helped me run my business. It's abstract at best. But I think if we look at things in terms of building skill sets, how does dance help you become a better person? How does music help you become a better person? What are your social emotional learning goals in that area? How is sport integral to life when you're talking about competitive, non-competitive excellence, personal excellence, physical fitness? All of these things are critical. So if you start thinking about, and the National Education Policy has done this as well, right? The new policy has done this really well, saying that we should stop talking about curricular and co-curricular. We should stop talking about academic and non-academic, and this is important and that is supporting. We need to just really be looking at what are all the different things that kids need to have access to. So I think that's the answer in some sense. And if you are passionate about it, and if you are able to present things in a right way, then you'll always find your own balance and your own way to make time for things.
Yeah. I love what you said, that, build your skill sets and find your own balance, because every child's balance would be a different one. So yeah, find what works for you and just go with that. On that, Rekha, I heard you giggle a little bit when because I'm sure you resonated a lot with what she had to say. Would you like to add something here?
The thing is, when people say that we need to make special time for this or special time for this, I completely don't. For me, it's like out of logic, because why don't you find time? If you say that I need to do time to do this, so it's like it's one of your regular routines. Now, if for example, it would be like I need to find time to eat, or I need to find time to watch TV. So when you say that you need to find time, you automatically have, you build a routine where there you find time for all these things. So when you say that, my academics is so much that I don't find time to pursue these things, is completely illogical to me. Because when you are set to do something, or when you are passionate about something, or definitely not by enforcement, but when you're passionate about something, I think automatically those things fall in place. And time management is something that all of us human beings are basically, we are machined to it, time management. And then I think that is why, for 24 hours, even if like 6 to 7 hours goes for our sleep, the rest of the time we know exactly at this period is what this has to be done. So why specifically that you need to say that, no, I can't find time for this? That is what, is kind of meaningless to me.
Yeah. And you somehow make time for whatever you are passionate about. Right?
Absolutely. Yes.
So if you really want to do it, and if you're, relentless, like you guys,
Yeah.
you will make the time for it. You'll move things around, and you will make sure that you go ahead and do it. Right? Lovely. All right. So, there are a lot of students who do engage in, these activities, be it sport, be it music, be it dance, as part of what is being offered at school, but they're probably not as serious about it, right? I mean, they're just looking at it as an added credit, so to speak, for their portfolio, for their maybe for their further education, or just something that, maybe some schools even have it as a compulsory thing, right? That you have to do this. Now, does doing or participating in these activities also help them somewhere, get maybe admissions in universities abroad? How does that work? Does that help them?
Is it a question for me? Anyone?
Sure, Rekha, why don't you go? Yeah.
Okay, so see, basically, I have been training students abroad, and definitely, I think dance or music or sport has they have a different set of accreditation for this, and it makes it an important kind of factor in their curriculum, saying that you are a part of this course for some time, or you are taking this as one of your main streams, which makes it easier for the universities. And I've had people who've been taking the course for many years, and who have applied for the universities have got through because they are connected to this. So I would definitely say that it does mark a very integral part of your curriculum. And talking about my life experience, I think what happened was, like, immediately when I finished my 12th, and I was on a tour to, like, I don't remember exactly. So I, in fact, the college admissions and all were done, and I came in and in fact got admitted late because I was on tour. And the only factor that the principal of Mount Carmel College gave me admission was because I was into dance. If probably I was not into some other activity, I wouldn't have gotten admission, because I joined in I think I joined end of September or something like that, which most of the courses already started.
True.
So I think it makes a very, very a notable thing that you have taken something so passionate, and you are pursuing it in the long run, just not to make sure that you're a part of the course for say 1 year or 2 years, but you have a continuity in it.
Nice. Yeah. So it does help, and also
Absolutely.
of course, it builds character and that as well. But for the college or the school to see that yes, you are committed to this, it kind of adds to your points and your credits as well there.
Very well.
Lovely. So, Saurav, I would like to ask you this question. Now, of course, you would have decided to be a squash player very early on. What was the response really like for you from people around? Of course, the family, I'm sure there would have been 100% support, and they would have backed you up. But I'm sure there would have been people around you, or even for your parents, right, saying, "What is he doing? Why is he not focusing on education?" How did you handle that kind of conversation, or how did your parents handle something like that?
I think it starts a little bit with precedent that you set for yourself and for the people around you. I think ever since I've been a kid, I've always kind of set a precedent where whatever I've done it really well. So whether it be in academics or sport or anything else that I did, I made sure that I did whatever I could to be the best I could be. So I think that kind of breeds confidence in the people who are close to you. So in that sense, my parents, my grandparents, or anyone else who's close to me. And also, like, being a professional squash player, to be honest, I don't think I actually made a conscious decision myself. I just ended up being a top junior, and it was just a normal kind of transition, graduation into becoming a professional player. Like, I actually can't sit here today and tell you that, okay, this is when I decided that I'm going to be a professional squash player. It just happened. I think it's also important to understand and realize that a lot of people are going to have a lot of different viewpoints about what you do. And it's important to, almost cut out the noise a little bit by making sure that you have a very, very strong and small core of people that whose view matters a lot to you, and whose opinions you really take on board, and sift through them to see you arrive at the best decision for yourself. So in that sense, it's important to not listen to everyone. I mean, everyone is probably saying it with their best interests at heart, but they don't know you as well as this small core knows you. And I think that familiarity and that confidence in that core will take you forward, not at that point, but also through your entire career, because there are going to be a lot of times when things are going to be really poor. You're not going to win all the time. You're not going to be producing your best performances all the time. And it's very easy at those points in time to look back and say, I shouldn't have done this. Or, like, for example, in terms of my core, to say that, you should have probably pursued being an investment banker or started a business of your own, right? And those are the times when it's really hard for this core who know you really well and who know your abilities really well to kind of come to your side and tell you that this is a time that you're going through, and you're going to come out of this at some point. And I think that's where, like we were discussing earlier, having that support system through the parents, or obviously that's your first kind of line of support. Then you also have your coaches, maybe your best friends. I think all these people make a very, very big contribution to your life as a top level athlete or a performing artist, because it's sometimes it's not easy to deal with a lot of things. I think sport is brutal in the sense that it's very objective, because every day you step on court, you either win or lose. There's no gray area, right? So there are days when I've not played brilliantly, but I've won. And there are days when I've played brilliantly and I've lost. And you think that what is going on, right? Probably it's slightly different in the performing arts, because there might be days where, you haven't probably performed that well, but the common person probably doesn't realize that only you know that, right? And that hurts you inside, because at the end of the day, we are all searching for perfection. And that is a great quality to have, but it's also a big flaw of ours, that we're always searching for perfection, and it stops us from being happy as much as we normally would be if we didn't really search for that. So I think it's important to understand that, you have to believe in yourself and understand yourself the best you can. And that confidence and that belief has to translate through precedent, through actions onto your inner core. And as long as everyone around you is on board with that, and on board with that confidence that you have, I think you're going to move forward in the right way and find yourself in the best position that you can possibly find yourself in the years to come.
Lovely, lovely. In fact, I love that. Find your core, and keep your core close to you. So in fact, this resonates very well with me, because as part of what I do, of course, nothing close to what you guys do, but as part of what I do, I also coach certain entrepreneurs and help them in their journey. So I tell them about finding your cheerleaders. Find that group of 4 or 5 cheerleaders, could be your closest friends, could be your support system, that no matter what, whether you're doing well or not, they are there for you. So I think the same thing applies here as well, that find that core, and then just cut out the noise. Don't get impacted. Of course, sometimes I think it's easier said than done, that don't get impacted by what's being said around you. Of course, it comes with practice, it comes over the years. Some people are able to do it a lot easier than others, but yes, I think that makes a lot of sense for me. Rekha, coming back to you, have you had an experience where at a given point of time, your decisions or your choice of career was questioned, and again, how did you deal with that?
Oh, yes. Oh, that was, that was an unexpected question. But yes, I think, firstly, what happened was me being a chartered accountant and, drifting away from chartered accountancy to dance itself was, kind of a taboo, I would say. That because everybody was like, what are you doing to yourself? Why this? You have such a beautiful career ahead and you are doing well at it, and you and then you suddenly switch on to something which is just is just considered a passion, or it's like maybe for some of us, I think it's just a hobby, to be more clear. And then the second the second main thing is I started with Bharatanatyam, which was more popular than any of the other art forms. And then, though I was learning Mohiniyattam together, but I moved on to Mohiniyattam completely. So that again became another kind of a questionable act. They said, Bharatanatyam is so popular and you are good at it, so you will be able to, mark your niche at it. So why again you choose something like Mohiniyattam, which is absolutely not popular? Most of them, as far as I've heard, like a lot of people have even told me that, I don't go for Mohiniyattam performances because I find it very boring and I don't understand any part of the art form. So, and these were the questions that was always around me. But thankfully, I think maybe definitely because of my parents and the drive that I have within myself, that no, this is what I want to do and this is what I will do. You know, just do not, heed any words of anybody aside, because finally you are the one who's going to decide your life, and that is what matters. Because later, not doing something which you like and having a regret is much better than venturing into something that has more challenges.
Lovely. Lovely.
So that was my thing, and I'm glad that I did that choice.
Lovely. No, of course, because I mean, look at all the accomplishments that you have, and each one of you here on the panel. So now, of course, there has been dedication, there has been commitment, there's a lot of hard work that has gone into it. Now, there are certain students who may not be as committed, who may not have who may not have the capability to excel as much, right? They may not be able to reach at the highest level possible. So what are the other opportunities in terms of career choices in the non-traditional career path, but what else can they do, right? So if each one of you can throw some light on this, I'll start with you, Bindu. What else can the kids opt for?
So, I mean, again, I realize I'm veering off topic a little bit, but I think that's the case in any career that you choose, right? If you're playing squash, not everybody is going to be a nationally or internationally ranked player. Again, if you do a bachelor's in science, not everybody's going to be like an ISRO center chairperson or work for NASA. Or so I think we need to establish that this is not specific to non-traditional careers, but in any career that you go into or anything that there will be a 1%, and there will be people who excel, and they will excel because of a mix of hard work and circumstances and natural ability, and that is just what it is. But it can't just be the 1%. And whatever you are trying to do for yourself, you need to find a space for yourself that works. In the area of music, I think there are so many career paths available now, both kind of unidirectionally and in terms of interdisciplinarity. I don't think going forward there's going to be any musicians who are just one thing. Like when we work with kids now, we see all of them are, you can be a singer songwriter who's also into production, and you're drawing in your free time, and somehow that artwork finds its way into like the videos that you make, or you can get into music business. If you look at Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, all of these guys are running businesses and they need musicians to be a part of it. Right? If you look at live performances, the kind of crew and the people who are not on stage around it, whether it's producers, whether it's composers, whether it's, venue managers, whether it's sound technicians, whether it's recording engineers. So I think it's really exciting to see how many careers there are around music. And it is really important to understand that if you are a sports person, it's not just the Olympic game that you're playing. If you are a musician, it is not just a reality show, which for some reason is the first threshold for most people, or being in Bollywood or being on stage, right? So this whole idea of building a career is, again, and I'm saying it many times because I really believe this is important, multiple skill sets that lead to the same thing.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Saurav, what about you? From a sports perspective, what are the other career options that the kids have?
Yeah, I think firstly, what Bindu said regarding that this is not specific to non-traditional sports is something that needs to be reiterated. I think anything, no matter what you do, there are always going to be people who are outliers, who are excellent and who are brilliant. And that's, like she said, a 1%. That's why they are the best. Right, and there's going to be the rest of the herd, so to say, who have to kind of either try their best to catch up with them or do something else which gives them their happiness. In terms of sport, I think there are things which have definitely kind of built up over the last decade or so. I think that the entire ecosystem of sport was very limited. I would say probably about 10-15 years back, but now I think it's a lot better. So I think you have opportunities like going into sports medicine, becoming coaches, running sports management companies who don't just deal with cricketers. Some other sporting people are also on the roster now, so that's helpful. Gives you a very kind of look. Yeah. What else? I think you could go into things like administration in terms of running top level sports centers. Like 10 years back, the only sports centers which we had were Sports Authority of India centers run by the government, and now we have a lot of private centers doing it. There are a lot of sports trust funds as well, where people manage the talent on that front. And I mean, these are just things which have come up in the last, I'd say, 5 to 10 years. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot more coming into place over the next decade or so. So I think that ecosystem is something that the country needs to kind of provide to a greater extent, which we're trying to do. And I think that is the key in us becoming a sporting superpower. So every Olympics, when we go and we say that, why a country of 1.3 billion people are winning, 1 or 3 or 7 or 11 medals, and we say that, are the athletes not working that hard, or are they not getting the support they want? It's not that. Everyone is trying to do their best. Everyone wants to win a gold medal. No one wants to go to the Olympics and not win a medal. That's just being really stupid, right? Everyone wants to do that. But the problem is that we are trying to pluck one person out of nowhere to make an Olympic medalist. When you have an ecosystem which is robust, you're going to have a system which produces Olympic medalists. And that's kind of the transition and the sporting evolution that the country is on at this point. It's not all doom and gloom. There are silver linings. We've done our best this past Olympics in terms of the medals we've won, and that is because the sporting ecosystem has improved over the last 5 to 10 years. And we can't expect to win 100 medals overnight. It doesn't happen. We're suddenly not going to find 100 PV Sindhus out of nowhere, right? Badminton is doing really well because there's a very good ecosystem in badminton in India today. Cricket is obviously doing very well and has always done well because we have a ridiculously good ecosystem for cricket in India, the best in the world. So I think that's something that we need to translate to it in each individual sport and entire sporting landscape in general for us to be counted as one of the best sporting nations in the world. It's not just about numbers. It's about quality in numbers as well. And that comes with a robust ecosystem, and that'll help. And every person, like in a big company, you start off with people starting off at the lower level, and then you have CEOs. Every single person is a cog in the wheel, which makes it turn. Every single person has a role to play, and every single person's role is very, very important. So someone like Sindhu winning winning 2 Olympic medals now, there are so many people behind her who have made that possible. Of course, she's brilliant. She's probably one of the best we've ever had. But there are a lot of people behind her, not just in the last 2 years, but in the last 10, 15 years who have made PV Sindhu who she is. And I think that's something that we all need to understand and realize and give that respect to every single person, however small that person's job might look at that point in time. And I think that change in mentality and that change in respect for everyone around will make us a better nation overall. And I hope that happens quicker than slower than what generally happens in India.
Yeah, I think like you said, we are on that path. We are, it's a lot better than it was a couple of years ago. So yes, every drop counts, and every person who has a role to play in, getting this ecosystem stronger and better is making a difference. So yeah, let's see. We should get there soon enough. All right. So Rekha, what about you? What do you say?
Like when you take probably dance, so it's just not being a dancer, because your dance is, you have to have the whole system's music supporting you. So you can be a natuna, you can be a person who says the jati, you can be a person who in charge of the sound system, you can be a person who designs light, you can be a costume maker or a costume designer, you can be a makeup artist, you can be just a choreographer, who just doesn't just go on stage and just who choreographs things. You can be a writer who writes about dance. You can write ballets, you can write dance dramas. So it is vast. When you take it like that, it is vast. And like, as both of them said, if you excel at your own skill, you don't have to worry about what your future career would be or it would look like, because when you excel at something, or when you put in your own amount of commitment and hard work and you're sincere towards it, I think any of these professions will make you build your career, so you don't have to worry about it. So it's just not being, because as a dancer, for me, it's just not me being on stage. I have like so many people who help me being a dancer, right from my from my jewelry. You can be a jewelry designer as well, from your jewelry to your costume to your music to your notations. There's so much involved in it. So even if you take one of it, now of course, I think people do everything together, so they master so many things. So even if you take one of it and do your best, I think your career will be done.
Yeah. And I think what I'm getting from all of you, each one of you, is that, of course, what we see in the forefront is, that 1 minute of excellence, or that 10 minutes of performance that where you're really excelling. But what goes behind is no short of a production in itself, right? And it's if not months, it's years of hard work, years of commitment of not just one person. There is a lot of people involved. So, of course, like you guys said, that respect needs to be given to the people who are behind the scenes as well. And, those are some opportunities that, the children can look into, as a career path, because that is equally important for the person who's at the forefront, for them to be in the limelight and for them to do their best. This support system is very, very crucial, right? And that's I think, what a lot of kids can look into. So my last question for all of you, and this is a two-part question. So there will be kids who are very, very excited or enthusiastic about, going down a career path, which is not the traditional one. But there might be some resistance from the parents on, no, you should focus on studies, do this later. So the first question is, what would your advice be to such parents or to such kids? And, what should they do and how should they go about it? And the second is, of course, there is another child who is very keen on taking this up. There is full support from the family as well. What is your maybe 2 or 3 lines of advice to those children? How should they go about it? And what kind of message, so to speak, that you want to send to all of them, right? So Saurav, let me ask you this first.
I think for the first part of your question, I think every parent's, end goal with regarding their kids is to see them happy. So I think what they need to kind of look at first, cutting out all the other noise and all the other thing, is to see that if your kid is playing a sport or playing an instrument or in music or is in dance or any other thing, is that time that they're spending doing that the happiest part of their day. So one of the reasons why I started playing squash and continue to play squash is because the 1 or 1.5 hours that I spent on a squash court was the happiest part of my day. I like doing a lot of other things, but that was the happiest part of my day. And that was the main kind of determinant in my decision to continue playing competitively. So I think that is really important. The second part of the equation is to kind of realistically judge, sitting with your kid, whether doing what he or she wants to do, whether he or she can actually be really good at it. Because sometimes, you can, kind of almost delude yourself into thinking that you can be really good, but you can't, right? Everyone doesn't have the ability to do everything. Their calling might be in something else. So I think it's you have to kind of have a realistic judgment or selection of what you're really good at, and understand that you're really good at it. It could be anything, from that discussion, it could come out to be that you're really good at sport or music or dance, or you're not that good, right? And then you kind of have to have a realistic discussion and an open and frank discussion, saying that, okay, this is where we need to pivot towards to make the best of your life and to make you really happy. Because let's say you choose to be a sports person and you're not going to be really good at it. Believe you me, in like 2 years' time, you're going to be miserable, because you're going to lose so much and you're going to be like, why did I ever do this? Right? So I think that's important to kind of understand yourself and also have a good sounding board in terms of your parents to kind of see that whether you can be really good at it or not. Once I think you've established that, okay, this is what I want to do, and you've got your parents on board, well done. Now you've got everything on board. I think the most important thing that I see from kids, especially in sport and in the squash world in particular, is that their dreams are too small. They're very myopic in what they want to do. So if I go to a 12-year-old kid and ask him or her, like, what is your goal in life, right? All they tell me is that I want to be national champion, right? That's a great goal, but being national champion is not the be all and end all of your career or of your talent, of your potential, right? Being national champion is a stepping stone to where you really want to be, which is world number one, right? Today, if you dream, it's like, they say dream for the stars and you'll get somewhere. So you kind of need to dream to be world number one, and then you might get to 10 in the world, right? If you dream to be national champion, you're never even going to probably get to 50 in the world, right? And, I might have won a bunch of national titles, but like you kind of like did in the introduction, you spoke about me being a gold medalist at the Asian Games, being an Arjuna Awardee because I'm a gold medalist at the Asian Games and Commonwealth Games, and being top 10 in the world. That is what people will remember you by. They will not remember you by the number of national titles that you have. So, I am a squash player in India, and I don't know, like off the top of my head, who won the under-19 junior nationals 2 years back. So if I don't know that, then I'm pretty sure most people in the world don't know that. And if I don't know that today, I'm pretty sure in 50 years' time, no one is going to know that, right? So I think the aim always has to be to do something so great that people remember you for a long, long time to come. And for that to happen, you have to do something unbelievable on the world stage. And that's where the relentless drive to perform every day, to go into practice every day when you don't even want to do it some days, and to be the best you can be in terms of effort. Because in terms of the quality you produce, you're not going to be the best you can be every day. It's not possible. But to have the effort every single day where you're putting in 110% every day, that's what makes you perform on that very day. So what we do on match day is probably 1 to 2% of what we've done. Everything is done in the background. We've gone through situations in our head, going through situations in practice, figuring out how we're going to deal with opponents, deal with certain conditions, deal with referees, all that in practice. You can't just turn up, rock up one day and say, okay, I'm just going to perform now. You might do it one day, but it's not going to happen consistently. And if you don't happen consistently, you're not going to be the best that you can be. So I think that is important to be, have dreams which are big, but at the same time be humble to know that, just because you won yesterday doesn't mean you're going to win today. You're only as good as what you did yesterday. So I lost my last match, so I feel terrible today. I lost 1 week back and I still feel terrible about it because I'm not a winner right now. I'm a loser, right? So I want to do well so that I win my next tournament, and then I'm going to be happy. It's terrible. That's a very, very bad kind of thing to go in with, but that's just the way we are. We just want to win. No matter what, we want to win. So I think that's important that, like sport is brutal. You win and you lose. There's no gray area. So you have to be humble. You win one day doesn't mean you've conquered the world. If you're world number one, doesn't mean you've achieved it all. If you're world number one, you have to show how you can stay at world number one. It's difficult to do that. It's much tougher to do that almost. So I think always having goals ahead of you, which push you to your very best until the day you stop, is what keeps you going and makes you the best player or artist that you can possibly be.
Lovely. Thank you so much for that, Saurav. I'm literally taking notes here. I'm a mother of a teenager myself, so I'm like literally taking down notes that I want to show to my daughter after this. So thank you for that. All right, Rekha, what about you? What would you like to say to the parents and then to the children as well?
First of all, to the parents, it's always been there that they always take dance as maybe a secondary or a tertiary, or I don't even know which. Okay, so I think the parents should understand that if the child is interested in something like this, just let her do it, or let him do it, whatever she or he likes. May it be a sport, may it be music, or may it be dance. If they want to do something like that, let them do it. And then secondly is like during exams. Oh my God, she has exams, so she cannot come for, she cannot practice, or she cannot come to class. That whole thing itself has to be completely, I think, removed from the whole system of the parent, I guess. Because no human can study for 24 hours. And I only feel that when you come and you do something that you're passionate about, only regenerates your whole system. So I think that is very important. And that is like one major advice that I want to give to parents. And to the students who want to take this as a career path, I think, see, what happens is like in traditional dance or music, we have our gurus who we always idolize, and we have them to guide us as well. So I think your guru will be the best person to tell you how to put forth, your skills so that you can master it, and to a certain extent be an artist who can excel at certain fields. Now, I think, for example, if it was my guru was the one who told me that, I think Mohiniyattam suits you better because you are more, you are more elegant, and the way you put forth your personality, it's that way more soft. So Mohiniyattam suits you better, and I think you should pursue Mohiniyattam more. And then the minute you start doing it or practicing it more and more, you will automatically reach to what you want to. And like, be it whether it is performances, or be it the small little nuances that you miss maybe when you're practicing, I think it's the guru who guides you exactly. And being from a traditional art form, I think I would definitely say that the students should just mark the guru's words, because it says, Guru Devo Bhava. So it's like, after the mother, it is definitely the guru. So just go with your guru, and I'm sure that they will not mislead you.
Perfect. Yes, always listen to your guru, always listen to your coach, because they have your best interest and they are part of that core group that you want around you. All right. So Bindu, what about you?
I think it comes down to hard work. And I think you need to kind of acknowledge, whether you're a parent or a child, you need to acknowledge that it's hard work every day. It's showing up every day, no matter what, whether it's the most exciting thing or whether you don't want to get out of bed, you just need to show up, and you need to make sure that you're pushing it forward just a little bit every day. Because in the end, building a career is not a one-day event. It's a long-term goal. It's a long-term game. And how things are going day to day shouldn't influence your big picture. So even if today is a bad day, you still need to get out of bed tomorrow morning and keep working towards the same thing. And the other thing that I think is really important is that it's a team sport. A career is a team sport. You need to find your tribe. You need to find your people. Yeah, competitiveness is important, but you also need to realize that you need people to hold you up, and you need to hold up the people around you. So I think if you have to distill it down, it's those two things, right? It's about finding your tribe and showing up every day. And if you can do those two things, then I think you can create the impact that you're looking for.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Let me thank each one of you for sharing your thoughts, sharing your experiences. And for me personally today, the biggest takeaway as a parent is make sure whatever your child decides to do, whether it's music, whether it's sport, whether it's academics, they need to be happy doing what they're doing. That is what they should feel excited about. And if there is an interest in something else, like sport or music, don't discourage that, or instead look at that as a rejuvenation, that that it might energize them and bring them back on whatever path they're going on. And yes, dream big, make ridiculous dreams, dream as big as you can, and work hard, show up every day, be consistent, and you will achieve what you want to achieve. So thank you so much, Saurav, Bindu, and Rekha for being here on the panel. And that's it from us. Manoj, over to you.
Thank you, Neha, so much for moderating this panel. We all knew that this is going to be a very interesting discussion. This is something that we wanted to do for quite a while now, kind of bring in these elements because, and you guys brilliantly